our students, our parents, our colleagues, they deserve our very best. But is the best we can do really the best we can do? Doing our best to do our best. That's our topic on this episode of the Educators Among Us podcast.
Welcome to the Educators Among Us podcast, where we share motivational messages and inspiring stories for and about educators. Your host, Scott Barron, is author of the critically acclaimed book, Love 'Em and Lead 'Em, and provides powerful insights and wisdom for those who heed the call to teach, coach, lead, and serve at all levels of education.
This is Scott Barron, and I'm honored to be your host for the Educators Among Us podcast. We love educators, and it's something that we have a passion for because of the impact that those who serve in all roles of education, because of the impact that they make. They have a lifelong influence, and sometimes it lasts for generations. And it's exciting to be a part of that journey, even the last few weeks as 2026 has gotten off to some tremendous momentum. We've seen schools that have been thriving and others that are trying to figure it out, and they're taking that journey to excellence. They're trying to solve for a lot of the inevitable people problems and the conflicts, and they're finding new ways to redesign their curriculum to be able to teach students, not just classes. They're finding some exciting ways of kind of casting a vision, a compelling vision, which is, of course, an important part of leadership, right? And so as we go down that journey together, there's always those barriers that come up, and we kind of have a version that we've been telling ourselves for so long, and we have to kind of check that, right? It's a part of the process of having authenticity and truly becoming excellent, and so that's the joy of our work, and we're glad that you're here and that you specifically chosen to be an educator, to be a part of a school system, right? One of my favorite TV shows is Antiques Roadshow. Maybe you've seen it, and it's an interesting thing over on PBS, and where you get to see people who have brought in a lot of things that they found in the attic or a garage sale, or it's been hanging in their house for a long time, or they inherited it, and they're bringing it in for an assessment. What is this worth? What's the value of this? And so to me, it's a very interesting show because I always learn something, interesting stories and even history. Sports trivia. Okay. My mother actually texted me the other day to say, "Hey, I learned something about, who started football." And so we had interesting conversations all spurred on by the Antiques Roadshow, right? There's all kinds of oddities and hidden value. And of course, the fun part is seeing people's reactions, like, oh, "It's worth how much?" Or, it's like, wait, that's all it's worth. And so anyway, that's the real question, right? How much is this worth? It's a funny thing about life, said Somerset Maugham. If you refuse to accept anything but the best, you very often get it. Right? And so as people are looking for that valuation, what they're trying to figure out is, how good is this? How valuable is this? And I don't know if one of the things I enjoy doing, of course, is and Tammy and I both is to go to like a community yard sale or a flea market or something like that. Maybe you have those in your area, and we love to kind of walk through and see what's for sale, what's happening, what's of value here, right? And there was this one city we had gone to work with some international schools, and so we were walking through, and we happened upon such an event. It was like, wow, let's go check that out, right? And didn't realize that it went on for a long ways. It was in this big park, and when we got there was just display tables everywhere. Right. I mean, as we walked along with the tents and the tables, and they were all snuggled up, it was as if there was a big group selfie going on. Right. They were all real tight, and at this street fair, and then of course, as you're walking through, you have to have a certain eye, because we've been doing this for a long time, and you have to have an eye to look for that the areas where there's something real talent. There's somebody who's got something that's valuable, right? It's a treasure, not just a trinket. There's some real talent invested here. It's not just a run-of-the-mill another thing, right? And so that's one of the things. That's what we love to do as we're exploring. And of course, mundane merchandise. These tables were full of just stuff. I mean, just what we call that mundane merchandise, right? It was muddled about in maniacal manners, right? And it made it really difficult to distinguish the gimmicks from the gems, those gems that were camouflaged within. You have to find them. You have to look. You have to sometimes even dig, right? We don't enjoy just buying junk, right? But we've done it. We've experienced that, and we've tried to learn from it. And having developed a keen eye for spotting craftsmanship, right? We were able to find a few valuable items. Actually, we found this one painting that's hanging in our living room now. Genius is noticed. Genius is noticed. It's that meticulous design that shows. It was crafted with pride. You can tell, right? There's a thoughtfulness. There's even a thoroughness, right? I think the same can be said about us, right? When we do our best to do our best, it shows. It's like Harvey Firestone said one time, you get the best out of others when you get the best out of yourself, right? That best it begins with us, and especially for educators, because we know educators are likewise distinguished by their disciplined devotions to the craft, regardless of what the job is. Obviously, we use the term educator to include everyone and anyone who works and or serves in a school. That's our definition. And so as we have these conversations together, it's important to acknowledge that sometimes the vocabulary that we use, it creates unnecessary separation. Most often, the two classifications that are used in the school are faculty and staff, right? But that tends to imply that some contribute to the learning services and the experience and some don't, right? But come on, I mean, we know that's not true. Actually, many of those on the staff, for example, personnel in the front office, the business office, the coach's office, the cafeteria, the facilities office, right? They can have a really valuable instructional relationship with students. Sometimes even more so than the classroom teachers, right? So it's wise to consider that we're all educators, regardless of how we contribute, because we all contribute. We're all a part of creating something that's better, even best. And ideally, that contribution, it's at a level of mastery, producing the best. Now, mastery sometimes can get confusing, right? But mastery is unmysterious. We actually know it. It's recognized by those walking through our offices and our classrooms and our hallways. Why? Because they can attest to our attention in the details. They see it. Now, some give up. They give up when realizing the level of commitment that's necessary for excellence. It's a hard road. It requires personal and collective discipline. Our best is the result of caring more than others could or even would reasonably be expecting, turning intentions into habits that continuously advance the quality. It's that commitment, right? We know we're in a race, right? 1 Corinthians 9:24 says, "Do you not know that in a race all the runners run, but only one gets the prize?" Run in such a way as to get the prize. In other words, be your best. Do your best. Education is only transformed. It's only truly transformed when educators take pride in what they do. Right? Excellence in schools is never achieved by one person. It's not a one-off. It's not a solo journey. It's always as a team, right? We're not waiting for Superman to show up and save the day. We run this race together. We're making each other better, encouraging that stamina, that perseverance, that hang in there, that come on, let's go, and pursuing the worthy prize. So whatever we do, we take pride in our work. We always seek to keep improving, because giving less than the best, it sacrifices the beautiful talents that make us educators, right? It's a waste. So the challenge is, do your best. Do your best to do your best this week, my friend, because the stakes are high and the results, they change lives. Do your best to do your best. Running the race. Now, jumping into the race, that doesn't just happen. It takes practice. Sometimes you'll see videos or others where two people have decided they're going to race. And sometimes if it's people a little older in age like me, they haven't even stretched. They haven't run in quite some time. All of a sudden they take off and they pulled a hamstring, or they fall down on their face, and it's embarrassing. And whoever posted that video should be in trouble, right? But running a race, it takes practice. You got to stretch. You got to know where we're going to start and end this race. We have to know the conditions. We have to prepare for the pace. Knowing why we're racing is also important, because I don't want to get myself in trouble on a foolish race, right? But the race we're running changes lives. And that's the encouragement for you is to consider that. Did I do my best to do my best, right? That's our coaching question for this week. Did I do my best to do my best? Hey, may your plans for 2026 be especially blessed, because you are a blessing to a lot of people. Love him and lead him, my friend. This is Scott.
Thank you for joining us for the Educators Among Us podcast, and for your courageous commitment to this noble calling. We get you and the challenges of this work. To stay connected with this community, be sure to subscribe to our podcast and weekly encouragement at educatorsamongus.com.